Hello everybody, welcome to the 5th round of the Vtracc challenge powered by tracc.eu. We're here at the French V-Prix at Circuit Paul Ricard, and as always, April Carlsvard is alongside me to commentate along with me. Hello, April.
Hi, Ruby. Thank you for having me, and yeah, thank you for joining us for an hour of Paul Ricard. We're just getting underway with qualifying now, and turns out the track is wet. I'm kind of surprised by that. I'm sure our driver's surprised by that as well.
Yeah, it is damp. The practice session that we saw was dry. In fact, a lot of rubber is getting laid down, and it was actually getting into an optimum state. But now it's going to be a complete 180 for these VTubers, as Jordan Wretch is the first car out on the track, tracc.eu. But either way, Jordan Wretch in the special livery for today, sort of promoting Overjump Rally, an indie video game. The fastest VTuber on track during the practice session was actually Psycho Kaiza. Lucas Lichten did join late into the practice session, but never was able to topple Psycho Kaiza in the standings. So we'll see if Psycho Kaiza is able to just see if Psycho Kaiza is able to show his dominance once again, or if Lucas Lichten has something else in the tank.
Yeah, definitely, especially because with this track suddenly turning wet, anyone who's running a dry heavy setup, well, suddenly they're not going to have the downforce to keep up here, and we're going to see the people who are playing a bit more cautious with downforce start to catch up. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out, especially with that long straight that just begs you to flatten out that wing. I guess there's only really one way to find out, isn't there?
Now there's Jordan Wretch coming out of the missile straight. Oh, goes a little bit wide there, but it's fine. It's just the outlap. Just trying to find where the grip is and everything. The track's damp. I think it's gonna get quite dry by the end of this session. 20 minutes, and even if it's just 13 cars driving around, it's going to get dry at some point. So I think these are just gonna be some cider laps, some just to get warmed up. And then once the track starts drying up, once everything starts getting a little better, we'll be seeing some really rapid laps around here as Jordan Wretch rounds out the final two corners to get his first lap of the session underway.
There is an interesting point actually about it not raining and the cars drying the track as well. May end up with a situation similar to what we saw with Silverstone qualifying recently in the Formula 1, where as the track dries out, then switching over to slick tires ends up being advantageous.
We'll see who gets on the slick tires first, who bites first. I mean, it isn't the race, so it isn't like you're gonna fall behind too much, but I mean 20 minutes is a lot of time for me personally for qualifying. Usually I'm used to like 10 or 12 minutes, but I mean you still can't play around with the time that you got in qualifying. Because that just means less time to set a fast lap, and the less time you have to set a fast lap, I mean, the less opportunities you get and the less tries you get. I mean, sometimes, and it really counts, especially when you're in that final lap of the session and you're on a flying lap, and all of a sudden you get that invalid lap, and maybe you don't have that banker lap behind you to fall back on, and that really might affect your standing in the race. It might really affect your race as well if you need to battle a lot of people.
Yeah, big time. Really puts pressure on, doesn't it, when you go a whole session without a banker lap. We've all done it at least once.
Oh yeah.
Unless we see Jordan Wretch running out this fast corner, coming into sector 3 now. The car's still sliding a lot as well. I know we were wondering if the track might dry up, but with how these wet tires seem like they're struggling to just find the grip, I'm thinking that might not be the case.
I believe that there was something to tell. Song told me that if somebody's on the white sidewalls, you see the white littering on the sidewalls, that means they are on the wet tires. If it's yellow, then it's the dry tire. So it looks like Jordan Wretch is on the wet tires for now. I mean, probably is the best idea since it is still somewhat wet. There's a bit of a state where, in between damp and greasy, where it just becomes not optimal as Jordan Wretch goes into the pits. I think he's going to try and go for the dries here.
Feels like a brave move looking at the track, but it might well be just aborting because Jordan Wretch ran to the back of Ryumi Tateyama there as well, just hitting traffic on your qualifying lap. Never good for the lap time. Yeah, I'm pretty curious what this is going to be.
Meanwhile,
We
Lucas
start
Slick.
following Lucas Lickton as well, our current championship leader. Sorry to interrupt you, go on.
No, I was saying that. That's fine. I was just saying that Lucas Lickton has the yellow sidewall, the yellow lettering on his Pirelli tires. So I think those are the dry. So he's probably being. He's having to be really cautious on the edge of the limit, edge of the grip, just sliding around. It doesn't seem like he's like struggling as much. Like I was expecting him more to be like sawing at the wheel, but so far so good for him.
Yeah, especially with the rear bias in that car, the weight all being in on the rear axle, it's good for the exits, as the car can accelerate well, but nonetheless through the corners, I think you might have just cursed him there as well. Saw a little wiggle there through this chicane, approaching the back straight, but so far so good, seems to have recovered it, pulled it all back together. Almost flat onto the back straight, tiny little bit of speed given up there, but that might be all she's got right now in these conditions, especially on those slick tyres on a track that's definitely not dry.
Ryouma Kirihara with the fastest time at the moment. That's a 2-minute flat. 2-minute, not flat. 2-minute flat 0.2. Okay, no, I'm getting things messed up here. 2-minute 00.270. He is on the wet tires, so we'll have to see how that. We'll see. That time might get blown out here as the track goes to greasy. So now everybody. Probably the person who benefits the most from this is Lucas Lickton, who is on the dry tires, probably just waiting for his first moment.
I imagine so, yeah. I think there's a few people out on track at the moment on slicks as well, just having a look up and down the field, but I can't see anyone in front of Lucas right now. I think Lucas is going to be our first benchmark for what a dry tire can do here.
We'll see if my timing, because my timing sheet is a bit weird. It's showing him an invalid lap, but a 7.5 minute lap, so obviously that's not right. We'll see if this lap time is going to be one that counts here. Crossing a line right about now, it's going to be a 1:59.097, so a second and a tenth faster than Ryouma Kirihara. Isaac Arbeth just crossed the line as well. He puts down a 2-minute flat nearly.
It's the kind of thing that everyone has to take notice of here, because if the slick tyres are going this quick right now, they're only going to get quicker.
Asa, the neon tire, I believe, crossed the line. Yes, that's a lap, so it's going to be a 2-minute.452. Couldn't see if she was on the dry tires as well. Take a look back at Lucas Lickton, who is improving his lap little by little there. It was up half a tenth here coming into the straight. Seems to be even, just seems to be steady at a tenth and a half for now. You see a little bit of splash of the rooster tail behind, so it probably means saw a little bit of splash of the rooster tail entering the straight, but now there's not really much of anything anymore. So probably, and with the track state being greasy, probably not a lot of water left. So people stuck on the wet tires just probably really struggling with the temperatures now. And we'll have to soon dive in to change their tires to the dry ones.
They will. I'm seeing more and more people switch over to the slick tires as well. Seems to be the tire to be on right now. Ryouma Tateyama is on the slick tires as well, I can see. Although has just aborted their lap.
Seems to be another good lap from Lucas Lickton. Actually, something interesting. I do not see Psycho Kaiza back in the lobby again. Psycho Kaiza, as I said, was the fastest driver in free practice, but did disconnect. I think I saw him reconnect at the start of this session, but it's not here now. So hopefully Psycho Kaiza is able to get those issues fixed as Lucas Lickton gets a 1:58.405. But yes, Lucas Lickton's closest competitor, I believe, would be is nowhere to be found. Hopefully he gets that issue fixed, because it would be nice to see at least a little bit of a challenge up in front. And just always, I mean, and just in general, it's always not really great to see somebody suffer with like hardware issues, I'd say.
Always so gutting, isn't it, when just you get a technical problem like that. We just see Aston Yampa invalidating that lap, just missing those arrows guiding you back onto the track. Nonetheless, good track time, good, oh, it's an outlap anyway, never mind. Nonetheless, yeah, good exploration of where the track grip is right now, which is going to be useful on her flying lap, which will be starting in just a few corners.
At the moment, Kim Elijah Boran Chen Soy is at the top of the silver class, but 2 silver drivers, Jordan Bunch and Dirty Kohai, have not set a valid lap time at the moment. I'm not sure if Jordan Bunch is on his out lap or on a flying lap. Sometimes the timing and scoring does mess with me a little bit. Looking around everywhere, it doesn't seem like there is any valid laps going on. I mean, I could be beat. Actually, Ryo Mikitihara is on a fast lap, I think. We'll see as, yeah, we'll see when he crosses the line here.
I see you've got the same timing bug I do too, but yeah, definitely we'll find out in just a moment. Looking at minus 1.5 seconds on the Delta, 1.5 second improvement, if this is real.
Just behind Ryo Mikitihara is Lucas Licton. We'll keep an eye on Lucas Licton. Ryo Mikitihara, that is a bad lap, 158.552. Lucas Licton about to cross the line, about to really crush that time. It's going to be a 1 minute, actually no, that was invalid. So it was going to be a 1 minute 57.702, but it did not count after all. Ryo Mikitihara just invalidated his own lap coming into turn 1. Really easy on this track to go over the limit as he did right there.
It really is. There's something about this track that just kind of lulls you into it, isn't there?
Ace of the Empire, we'll see if she's able to keep it within the limits. Oh, that's really close. I'm not sure what because sometimes you can go really wide there, but it's not really super clear. We'll see if Asa's lap gets it deleted here. Asa, the Empire, about 2 seconds away from the top time of 1 minute 58.405. But as we've seen from Lucas has been able to improve on that quite a bit. As actually, I look at the Delta right now, he's over a second from his best lap. So Ace of the Empire gonna have to try and claw back any gap she might be missing here. Coming across the final quarter now onto the main straight.
Yep, that's exactly what she's going to do. 2.3 seconds up on the Delta. It's time to bank it in, and that is our new pole lap. 1 minute 58.207. Aston Empire on pole position.
However, it might not be for too long. Lucas Licton is up by 1.5 seconds from his best, and Ryo Mikitihara, unfortunately, on an invalid lap, but he is going pretty fast as well. A second and a half up from his personal best as well. I was about to say a minute. That's a huge improvement by a minute. That's a 58-second lap. That's pretty quick. But no, it's 1.5 seconds, and Lucas Licton is going up by 2 seconds even if this holds steady. This is going to be a 156.535, so just a huge gap to Ace of the Empire.
That is a very big gap and a very quick lap time as well. Just having a look at Ryo Mikitihara as well, who's invalidated lap with a 57.2. If that's representative, then Ryo Mikitihara can have second place. He's got to put the lap together for it. As we follow Aston Empire going down the back straight here. Immense speed and then heavy on the brakes for this fast corner right at the end.
Ooh.
Should keep it within the back. Nope, she's gone off.
She just kind of speared off the track there. A new development in the silver class is Jordan Brunch on top of Ivano Chensoy and Dirty Kohai with a 1 minute 58.567. So Jordan Brunch's great form in the silver class continues. So Layla Drocrox is leading the AM class with a 2 minute 1 second 217. And in fact is even further improving on her lap at the moment. We'll keep an eye on her actually. Right behind her, I believe that is Ivano Chensoy.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That Mustang has amazing straight line speed around here, and especially if you trim a lot of the rear wing, which might be a strat that some Mustang drivers could be doing here. Ooh, Isaac Umbres, oh my goodness. A great lap, 1 minute 56.590 from the Yukai Racing driver, so a great lap, gets himself pretty close to the pole sitter. Go back to the Solo Drukrox, but great effort.
Yeah, Isaac Umbres currently less than a 10th behind Lucas Licton as we carry on with Solo Drukrox here. Zula Kihara currently pole in AM. but Soleil seems to be giving a good effort to try and improve that. Currently 2.9 seconds ahead on the Delta, with not a whole lot left in the lap to go, so just a few corners left to try and bank this in.
I think, yeah, this will be definitely... Sorry, go ahead.
I was saying, it's just looked a little bit wide there, and missed Apex there as well. Maybe the confidence coming a little bit undone as Soleil's realizing just what's possible here, but nonetheless sending it to the line. And that is a huge improvement, 57.920, which is good enough for 4th overall. That is more than 2 seconds ahead of our previous pole sitter, Zula Kihara.
Let's check back on Isaac Umbras, who is just rounding out this really, really long right-hand hairpin, is on a really big improvement lap as well. The track is getting a lot grippier here. It's up by half a second now. And this might be enough to snatch pole position away, but for how long? How much? What else does Lucas Lichten have for us here?
Well, one thing's for sure, Lucas Lichten has the time to make the counter-attack in qualifying and have another position. So this battle is not over regardless of what happens during this lap. 3/10 up, approaching the line. Just coming across it to bank it now, and that is our new pole position. 1 minute 56.275 for Isaac Umbras.
Girder bench coming around the final quarter now. I'm not sure if this is an actually invalid lap. Sometimes I can't trust this timing screen now, but if this were to be valid, this would be a 3/10 improvement. It was going to be a 156.617, but he still stands in 3rd overall. Meanwhile, Lucas Lichten is going to begin his first lap session. As Psycho is back and nearly gets into Lucas Lichten there. Flashes the lights, a bit of frustration, and Psycho flashes back.
Yeah, love a little bit of conflict, a little bit of drama during qualifying, but got a whole race ahead of us, guys. You know, no point getting tempers rising now. As you see, Lucas Lichten to a flying start as well. Already 6/10 improvement on this lap. Not only showing just what Lucas Lichten still has in the bag, but also just what kind of potential the track has as well. Despite the fact that our drivers have been out here all this time, those banker laps are not sound banker laps because the track is just that much faster right now. Really, qualifying is going to come down to these dying few minutes of the session.
Lucas Lichten now going along the Mistral Straight and going to come into the fast right-hander. Really important to get that right-hander really correct, because if you go a little bit too wide, you'll invalidate your lap, but if you don't use all the track, you're not going to be able to use, well, you're not going to be able to use all the speed you can, so Lucas Lichten seems to be getting it right there now, going around this really long right-hander, which just cooks the right front. Always great to have a really nice right front, really toasty.
It's the problem with trail braking, isn't it? It just wants to lock, doesn't it? As we see some more decreasing radius corners here. That one wants to lock the front left. Although you've got ABS, that doesn't mean the tire's working as best it can in these situations. Running out the final few corners now. And Lucas Lichten is lining up, getting a good exit from the final corner. Ready to start his next flying lap and final one of the session.
Indeed, this is going to be his final flying lap. 1 minute 55.295 for Lucas Lichten, so clear enough by 6/10 for pole position. We'll see if Lucas Lichten is able to widen the gap even further to Isaac Umbras. Meanwhile, we'll check back at Amato Chensoy, because Amato Chensoy is on a really good lap here. I'm not sure it's going to be enough to challenge for the rest of the Super class positions, but it's a big improvement nonetheless. Going around this corner now, the penultimate corner. Then, oh no! Oh my goodness! Just gets that rear end really loose. Probably, just probably getting used to that Audi R8 rear end there.
Yeah, that, and also just learning how much grip it has got. Because when the track's drying, you need to be adventurous with the grip and trust that it's got more than it did the last lap. But it seems just not be the case. Didn't have that much. So we now see Mano Chensoy calling it quits there and finishing qualifying early. Back with Isaac Umbras right now. Go on, sorry.
Okay, I was about to say Isaac Umbras. I think it's going to. I'm not sure. I think this is going to be his final lap of the session here. So this is going to be for all the marbles essentially. He has a 1 minute 55.957 previously as his best lap. He's up 3/10 entering this corner. Crucial here, though, that he gets a really good exit. It seems to be improving by 4/10. It dropped a little bit down to 3.5/10, but it's going to be a pretty good improvement nonetheless. It's going to be a 1 minute 55.605 for the Yukai Racing driver. Judy Kohai. Actually, no, Asa and Yanpai is going to be next across the line here. Asa and Yanpai, who is 7th overall and 4th in Pro. She's going to want a lot better lap than what she has at the moment. That's going to be enough to put her down to... Actually, no, Judy Kohai snatches 4th position overall from her grasp. Lucas Lathan just crossed the line. That's a 1 minute 55.152. Anybody else coming across the line now? Zul Akihara. Not enough to snatch pole position in AM class away from Soleil Vtracc. And now Saiko Kaiza is in 3rd position. So, oh my gosh, a lot to keep track of. And now the track is wet again. And it's properly wet.
It is. Oh yeah, just to ruin all of that muscle memory that these drivers have been building up through practice, rebuilding and qualifying, and now the track is different once again.
So since that was a pretty hectic qualifying session, we will go through the starting grid right now. Let me just disable this. Oops, there you go. So as I saw on, as you've seen during the qualifying session, Lucas Lichten was able to take pole position by a pretty convincing margin. He will line up first, then it will be Isaac Armbrust second in the pro class. Saiko Kaiza will line along in 3rd, then his teammate Ryoma Kirihara in 4th. Toriko Kohai, pole position in silver and 5th overall. Then it's going to be Asa and Yanfire 5th in pro and 6th overall. Jordan Brunch 7th overall. Soleil Vtracc and pole sitter in 8th. Zul Akihara in 9th. Mano Shinsoi in 10th. Faro Okami in 11th in the number 11 car. 12th is Iometric Zanes. And rounding out the grid is Ryuma Tatsuyama in their new number 275-296. So that is your grid for today's French V-Prix. 13 cars strong here. About to do battle here at Circuit Paul Ricard, or as I like to call it, Circuit du Parking Lot.
Ah yes, Le Castellet Long Stay 2. Classic joke that. Some good things to keep an eye on as well. Dirty Kohai currently 2nd in the Silver Championship, nonetheless starting on pole. Same story again for Soleil Vtracc, 2nd in the AM Championship, but currently on pole in AM. With both with championship leaders hot in their tails in the next position behind in class. So some interesting battles heating up already between those two in those two classes. We see the drivers pulling away onto their formation lap.
So with no rain forecasted for the next 30 minutes, or at least that's what ACC likes to tell us, but sometimes they like to throw a little bit of a wrench in the works. But with no rain in the next 30 minutes, and with the track being wet, I mean 13 cars going around, it might get a bit drier. We'll see if there's any strategy to get on the dry tires as soon as possible here. It doesn't seem like it's gonna get dry anytime soon. I mean, the water in the track is pretty significant.
It is, you're right, but the forecast also says that there's not going to be any rain for the next 30 minutes. Beyond that, of course, we don't know, but I feel like there's a lot of potential for drying the track during that time. So, we may well see pit strategy here being dictated by the right time to get onto the slick tyres. The drivers must, of course, complete a mandatory pit stop, during which they must change tyres as well. But you know what? Going from wets to dries, that counts.
Also to keep in mind that there is a pit window, but the pit window is just 5 minutes after the race start and 5 minutes before the race end. So it is simple, but you basically just cannot change them right at the last moment.
Yeah, it has to be at least a little bit during the race rather than just tacked onto the beginning and the end. Another thing as well worth noting, those big rooster tails, from this angle particularly you can see, you can't see through that rooster tail. from some of the trackside camera angles, it doesn't look too bad, but of course, these drivers' visibility is going to be severely affected coming around this track with how wet it is.
We can take a look at Ace of the Empire here, actually.
Yeah, you can just see Dirty Kohai vanishing into the mist up there as well. Okay, so I don't know about you, I can't see those brake lights through the spray. I'm really hoping that Ace of the Empire can see them much better than I can from her position, though.
Yeah, those rain lights. I mean, hopefully everybody remembers to turn on their rain lights, so like the cars don't just come up in surprise, because it could be really tough to judge. I know that it's really tough in iRacing to judge where everybody else is, because the rain spray is so thick. It's like literally like an opaque texture sometimes.
Definitely, yeah. Coming from R-Factor 2, it's always exactly the same problem of during busy parts of the race, like the race start, you would just be going into corners blind. No idea what you're doing, and no idea what's going on with the cars in front of you. So, if there's an accident in front of you, it just vanishes into the mist.
Looks like Isaac, Umbris, and the rest of the grid are preparing to go double file, so we are about to get set for the race start here soon, just running around the few final corners of the racetrack. Lucas Lichten, your pole sitter overall today. Then we have Dirty Kohai sitting on the pole position for silver, ahead of his silver class competitor and championship leader, Jordan Bunch. Then Ivano Chensoi, then Soledro Crocs out of her rival, Zol Akihata, in the championship for AM. So, as April stated at the beginning of the formation lap, that's going to be something to keep an eye on for the rest of the race, see how that develops. But for right now, Lucas Lichten's going to round out the final corner here. Isaac Umbris right alongside, going to have to catch up just in time to make sure he gets a good start and a good jump on the leader here. Now having to crawl to 70 kilometers an hour, having to time the start perfectly here for the 5th round of the Vtracc challenge, brought to you by tracc.eu. The green light is out. Here we go. Lucas Lichten barrels towards the first turn. Doesn't look like Isaac Umbris got a good start after all. And Ryoma Kirihata, is able to get past his teammate, Psycho Kaisa. Everybody files into turn 1. Psycho Kaisa actually lost a couple positions there to his teammate and Ace of the Empire, and might lose another position to Dirty Kohai as well. Lucas Lichten is at the head of the field. Meanwhile, Soledad Jorcox is under threat by her championship rival, Zul Akihara, and might be able to pass Jordan Bunch here as well. Actually, Dirty Kohai is about to get caught by his own championship rival as well. So Jordan Bunch now side by side along with him through this corner, and Psycho Kaisa right in front of them, actually struggling a bit with pace. Now coming into the straight, looks like Jordan Bunch is able to get the pass done here, but Dirty Kohai still has a slipstream to move to work with here. Right behind Zulakihata and Soleil Drurcox battling for the AM class lead here. Zulakihata has the upper hand here against that powerful Mustang and that V8 Aston Martin, and Soleil Drurcox will have to just slot in behind and get a bit of that slipstream. Jordan Bunch, meanwhile, is able to clear the Dirty Kohai, but at the moment, the overall lead is going to Lucas Lichten. As you see there, Ace of the Empire went off a little bit wide. Then it's Ryoma Kirihata, and then Isaac Umbris up in front. Actually missed a bit of action there. I mentioned Zanes went off, I think. Might have started from the pits. Might have missed that, actually, so that's my mistake. There's a lot of things going on. Actually, something we've missed from seeing this replay is Dirty Kohai actually dropped back quite a bit, so we have to see that on the replay as well. Just went wide, really wide for some reason. I'm not sure what happened there. Probably struggling with the track somehow, or maybe just a little bit of a mistake or something, but really interesting. So he has dropped back to 10th overall, still second in silver, but at the moment, at the head of the field in silver, it is Jordan Brunch, and Lucas Lichten is building that gap gap away from Isaac Umbris. Phew, okay, that's the first lap done here, and actually, Dirty Kohai is taking his stop early.
This is not a valid stop. This one will not count as one of our mandatory pit stops, because, as you explained during the formation lap, the pit window doesn't open until 5 minutes into the race. This one is early, so that might be a sign that there's damage on that car, possibly from an incident somewhere we missed. I did see some contact between some cars, but I don't recall seeing any involving Dirty Kohai.
Yeah, I did see
Nonetheless,
Jody Kohai going wide, but I'm not sure what was going on there.
yeah, I thought that was just getting caught on the outside line where there's more water. Because, you know, it's not the grippy line, but once you're on it, the guy behind you starts making a move to overtake, and then you just get pinned onto it from corner to corner to corner. It can be a really difficult situation. I assume that's just what happened. Nevertheless, back to the race. Psycho Kaiser currently on a recovery drive, having lost a bunch of positions on the first lap, currently running in 8th. Nonetheless, looking at the cars in front, thinking, yeah, I can get through this lot. Eyeing them up for an overtake. Currently keeping an eye on Salel Drurcox, coming to the end of the long back straight. Salel still holding their own on, as we see. Oh, that's Psycho Kaiser going wide behind. Nonetheless, Akihara and Drurcox in a heated battle for the lead in AM right now.
Yeah, I saw Psycho Kaiser just go really wide there, and meanwhile as well, I think that was Ryuma Tateyama getting ahead of Ivano Chensoi, and then still battling over there. Actually, that's Psycho Kaiser getting overtaken again. He's just falling back here. That's Faro Okami getting passed. And now Ryuma Tateyama might get passed as well. What? I'm not sure what's going on here. Ryuma Tateyama barely misses the rear end of Psycho Kaiser, has to just take evasive action.
Yeah, not covering the inside much
goodness.
through here. We see a big lunge from Tateyama there, but a contact into the final corner. Nonetheless, looks like both drivers have survived.
Not sure what's going on if Psycho Kaiser is on the dry tires, just waiting for the track to dry out or something. Not sure. I can't see the sidewalls. I think they are yellow.
Oh, so those are slick tire. What a gamble. Okay, interesting. Well, the track's currently damp, and the crossover point is during greasy. So I imagine Psycho Kaiser that would explain that strategy then, and exactly what we're seeing here. Because now it doesn't matter about pit stops. Psycho Kaiser is just ready to start making progress as soon as the track comes to those tires.
Speaking of progress, Ryuma Kirihara up from 4th position, now battling Isaac Armba's for 2nd position here, getting that slipstream and getting a really big run here coming into this fast right-hander. It's going to be really, really interesting to see if he makes it or not. Oh my goodness, nearly gets into the inside of Isaac Armba. Isaac Armba is not getting intimidated by that. He's going to try again around here, around this long right-hander, but Isaac Armba is not letting him pass by any means here. Meanwhile, Ace and the Empire just lurking back in the background here, waiting for these two to make a mistake and get into each other. But in the meanwhile, right in front of them, Lucas Lichten is just happily just getting away from everybody else here, just happily letting them battle. Just battle amongst themselves. Yeah, just have as much fun as you want, everybody. I'll just be here, just logging left to myself, just having nothing to do with all y'all. Meanwhile, on the back of the grid, Ivano Chensoi trying to get around Ryuma Tateyama.
Yeah, still running quite close. We've seen this one get already quite heated between these two. Especially Chensoi, having lost the position in the final corner, no doubt wants to undo that and take that position back, but just not lining up an opportunity at the moment.
Excuse me, sorry for the some of the weird audio things.
Hey, that's no way to talk about my voice.
I wasn't talking about you.
I know.
Meanwhile, Ace of the Empire has the fastest lap of the session so far with a 2-minute 4:40. So Ace of the Empire, the fastest car on the track at the moment, faster than Lucas Lichten, who did over 2 minutes 7:97. So Ace of the Empire getting some work done here. Meanwhile, then Chensoi has caught up once again to the back of Ryuma Tateyama, but just has not been able to make any progress.
Must be kind of a maddening situation as well for Ivano Chensoi, who is currently behind the majority of the AM field and a long way adrift of the next silver car. Of course, these overtakes right now are not worth any points. There's no benefit to making these overtakes, but nonetheless, they're in the way for the overtakes that count. Well, there's also a fairly sizable time gap right now.
Yeah, that's a very, very big gap between himself and Jordan Bunch at the lead of the silver class. So it's gonna have to get a lot of work done to get even close. But probably the one who has to do the most work is Jody Kohai, who had pitted during when the pit window was not open. I'm still not sure why their reason was for pitting, but unfortunately it's going to put him way behind the rest of the field, all the way back down in the 12th position. First driver to make their mandatory stop is Vtracc Zanes, really early on in the race. Probably just want to get onto the dry tires as soon as possible. Good thinking from the German Bago X Vitality Racing driver as he gets back out onto the track.
And sure enough, can confirm the yellow text on the sidewalls. Those are dry tires.
Something interesting here is that actually Lucas Lichten was not. Actually, never mind, because Lucas Lichten just set the fastest lap of the race with a 2:02.75. But Lucas Lichten was losing a bit of time actually on the big backstretch. The gap was about down to like 1.8 seconds before it opened back up again. So it might be a little bit of a disadvantage here for the Porsche.
It might be. I'll have a look at those top speeds and see if I can glean any useful information from that, because it's always interesting to see the top speed difference around here between the different cars.
Meanwhile, looks like Psycho Kaisa's gamble might be paying off. He is about, I want to say, I'll have to check here real quick. I can't really see how much he is behind the current leader, but it's by a whole, I want to say the whole backstretch, or about 3/4 of the backstretch. But you still need to take that mandatory stop, so I'm not sure if that's going to benefit him in the long run. It's going to be interesting to see. I'm not really sure what he's going to... I'm not really sure how this is going to play out.
No, but I think this is where things really start playing into Psycho Kaiser's hands here. Not only the positions gained as people pit stopped, but we're at the crossover point now where slicks start to become fastest. Vtracc Zane's not feeling quite pleased with the decision to pit onto dries. Siasas and Yampire spinning off in the midpoint of Sector 3. Let's have a look, see what happened here. It's a quick replay for you. Running a little bit wide out into the painted stuff. There's just less grip and that just spins the car out. It's such an easy mistake to do in the wet.
So it looks like Das Ace of the Empire will get going. Only lost one overall position to Jordan Wrench. So not too much of a hit there. Go High is in the pits once again, probably to get his mandatory stop out of the way. Ryoma Tatsuyama did their mandatory stop, is on the dry tires now, denoted by the yellow sidewalls, as Isaac Arbus just encounters them at a really, really inconvenient moment, as does Ryoma Kiyahara. In fact, Kiyahara got the worst of that. Ace of the Empire into the pits as well to get on the dry tires and get that mandatory stop out of the way. So is Soleo Drew Crocs. So a few drivers already taking their mandatory stop and getting over to that crossover point, like you said. And one driver that's probably really benefiting at the moment is Psycho Kaisa. We'll see if the lap times improve for him. Last lap time for the leader was 1 minute 59.945, and his best lap. I mean, Kaisa's last lap time was a 2:08. He saw Zula Kihara, the AM class leader, at the moment, go off. That's his teammate, so, I guess we'll just have to, wait and see. We'll see if this lap is any better. Track is still kind of sketchy, like it's greasy, like there's not a lot of wetness out there, but still not ideal for not ideal for any tire, actually.
Now, you can definitely see the dried line forming. There are bits of the track that are bone dry, but nonetheless, I don't think it'll matter too much. All these drivers still have to deal with the same problem of these are not the ideal conditions for dry tires. They may be the best tire right now, but they're still going to be running cold. And any driver who set their pressures correctly will be running them under pressure right now. Any curb running the risk of causing a pressure loss. In fact, that actually brings us on to another gamble that drivers are making right now as well, is what tire pressures to use, because they're so connected to the tire temperature. Anyone running higher pressures will no doubt do well while the track is still wet. We'll see them improve.
Both Isaac Armas and Ryoma Kiyahara dive into the pits there to get their mandatory stops out of the way and get onto the dry tires themselves. Bunch elects to go another lap, so he will gain both of those positions and will be second overall. Lucas Lichten elects to take another lap on the wet tires. Big development for today, for right now actually, in the race. Soleil Drewcox had a drive-through, probably was speeding into the pit lane. So unfortunately for her, she's gonna have to take that long drive-through, that long, just how slow is it? Like 60 kilometers an hour compared to everybody else going about over like 180 on that straight. So it's going to be a huge loss of time, and unfortunately it's going to let Zula Akihata take advantage and just further develop that championship lead in AM.
It really is, and it's a shame to see Soleil's fight to try and take this win and try and tip the scales in the AM Championship come to an end like this. Hopefully not, maybe she'll find some more pace. Although, I've got an interesting little observation for you. Lucas Lichten has not hit yet. I reckon that's yellow text on those sidewalls.
Do you?
I do.
Oh, goes really sideways there, has to save it. Goes wide, nearly went around. Got to check. I'm not sure if those are yellow sidewalls, actually.
Yeah, it's hard to see with a car, like, at such speed, but I honestly think it is.
Have to look even closer here. Meanwhile, though, looks like Ryoma Kirihara, I forgot to say, Ryoma Kirihara got around Isaac Armas on the pit cycle. So, had a faster stop. Probably Isaac Armas really misplaced his car during that pit stop, so Ryoma Kirihara now in front of the UK Racer driver, but Isaac Armas does have a bit of that slipstream to play with, though. I think he's a bit too far away now.
It's hard to say. There'll definitely be some benefit here, but also that AMG's top speed is immense. It's something like 277 kilometers per hour it can do by itself, and right now, yep, we're seeing some benefit. 279. We're going to see 280. No, we break at 279 for the end of the straight.
Looks like Lucas Lichten has come into the pits, and I don't know, actually. I need to check real quick if he was actually on the wets. They just don't have any lettering. Okay, there are the wets. You can see they have WH on them, and there's tread, so that's strange.
Oh, yes, you're right. Yeah, that is odd.
So at the moment, that gives Psycho Kaiza the lead. We'll see if he's able to take advantage of it. Well, he's already been able to. Best lap was a 1:58.682, and that's the best lap of the race, just last lap. So he's going to try and run as fast as he can while he has clean air. Just some clean air for him. I mean, he has a bit of lap traffic ahead of him in the form of Ryuma Tateyama and Imetric Zanes. Looks like
Sorry,
go ahead.
Sorry. No, you carry on first. This looks more interesting.
Yeah, it looks like Isaac Armas is actually caught up to the rear of Ryoma Kirihara while I was taking a look at Psycho Kaiza and Lucas Lichten. The gap was about to be about just a tenth, but it did just it did widen just a tiny bit.
Just a little bit, but it seems to equalize a lot. Where Isaac gains in one lap, Ryoma seems to end up pulling out the gap a little bit more as well. But that might be all coming undone here. Coming onto the back straight again, we've seen the immense top speed that the Mercedes has available to it, 279 on the last lap. And now we're very comfortably in the slipstream here as well. You can see Kirihara up ahead trying to just break the slipstream with some gentle weaving left and right. Nonetheless, Isaac Armas staying in it, building up speed. Right now we've hit last lap's top speed, 279, we're up to 282, 283, 284. If I saw a glimpse of 285 there, that is going to be huge for closing that gap. And maybe next lap getting a move done there as well. If, of course, Isaac can't get one done sooner.
He's definitely looking. He's peeking to the inside, but nothing doing just yet. Just making sure that Ryoma knows that he's there, at least. Very stuck close to the rear end of that Aston Martin. Almost nearly getting into him, even. Just that close. The margins are very fine. He's gonna have to try and find a way around past him very soon here. Meanwhile, Psycho Kaiza has just set the best lap of the race again, 1:57.455, and is about 46 seconds ahead of Lucas Lichten. So this might be the correct move for Psycho, but once again, might be that pit delta. That pit delta might come into play. Maybe that crossover just wasn't quick enough for him. We'll see. At the moment, though, this battle going on for, I want to say, yes, third overall at the moment. Still just nothing in between these two.
Yeah, so you can see Isaac Armas just fearlessly hanging onto the back of Ryoma Kirihara there. I guess as the track's drying up, these drivers are finding a lot more confidence to battle hard. Especially with those rooster tails gone, you can actually see the car in front of you now as well. gap has widened up a little bit, but it shrinks down through this corner. Seems to be the difference in lines. We're down at 2/10 difference. This car's practically nose to tail, almost bump drafting through that corner. Trying best to carry speed onto the front, onto the back straight here, and again stay comfortably in that slipstream. The gap is 4/10 currently, slightly more than last lap, so we're probably not going to see a move, but nonetheless, this is going to make Isaac Umbris very difficult to shake.
Isaac Umbris just stuck to the back again of that Aston Martin, just trying to get anything he can on Ryoma Kirihara. Ryoma Kirihara, though, doing a great job of just keeping that gap in front of them steady, just not making any mistakes that Isaac Umbris could take advantage of here around this really long right-hander that tends to really cook the left-hand side tires, and that's going to be definitely a thing later on in the race. With 40 minutes to go, we're going to see how, especially with the really early stops, we'll see how these dry tires hold up. Isaac Umbris gets really close to the back end once again in that corner. Seems to gain a lot of time into these entries here. Kirihara probably braking a little bit earlier, trying to emphasize on those exits a bit.
Yeah, definitely. You can see that in the line difference as well. Isaac Umbris is trying to set up for top speed onto these straights, just to try and make the most of that top speed advantage that Mercedes has. As well as, of course, capitalize on the slipstream as well. A huge benefit here, we see the two going nose to tail through turn 1. Ryoma Kirihara running a little bit wide there, missing that apex, but getting back on line and getting right back onto Isaac Umbris' nose.
Isaac Umbris going to try and make the move here. Nearly thought about it, nearly did, but just that door closed really late and just wasn't able to do anything here. Isaac Umbris is where he catches up a lot of time here. Exit the corner. It seems like Ryoma Kirihara is able to keep that third position for now, so Isaac Umbris is going to have to stay behind Kirihara once again on this main straight, get the toe as much as he can.
Yeah, it looks like missed apex there, leading up onto the back straight, so a little bit of time lost there, and we're seeing the gap grown again. Back to 4/10 right now. Still enjoying the slipstream, but I feel like this still isn't going to be enough to get a move done.
Isaac Umbris once again just really far away and coming into this corner. And we're going to see if is he able to close the gap just a little bit more? No, he's too far to make a move. Actually, Ryoma Kirihara went really wide there, so. But Ryoma Kirihara trying to defend as much as he can. Just dives on the inside of the corner, just owns that corner basically. Hitting all his marks just to make sure that he does he's as consistent as possible to not let Isaac Umbris get by any means.
That's exactly what he's got to do. That's got to be the mission, but it's always difficult. It's hard not to feel a little bit rattled when all you can see in your mirror is purple Mercedes and not much else. That pressure is immense and very difficult circumstances to not make a mistake under.
Meanwhile, Lucas Lucan has taken over the best lap of the race. Actually, Ace of the Empire has taken over the best lap of the race. I have to check real quick that best lap is. It's going to be a 1 minute 56.577. So a very good lap from Ace of the Empire. Psycho Kaiser is running 56.747, but keeps invalidating those laps. In fact, he's going to have to be really careful with that, because if he runs too wide too often, that's going to be a drive-through penalty, and that might be a strategy just thrown away in the garbage if he does incur a penalty.
That would be such a shame as well. I'm looking forward to that strategy battle, because right now the advantage is in Psycho Kaiser's hands, I'm sure. Lucas Lichten has to make these tires last for about 50 minutes. These tires are of course designed to last an hour, maybe longer, but regardless, Psycho Kaiser's tires, if he pits at the halfway point, they stay fresh for pretty much the entirety of the race, which I don't think is true of anybody else on this grid.
Actually, April, I don't know if it's just me, but I look at the forecast, 30 minutes, there's going to be rain, so if Psycho Kaiser could just hold on for just long enough, he might be able to make this strategy work.
Very good point, but with 37 minutes left in this race, that rain is forecasted to start 7 minutes before the end of the race. So that raises another question. At that point, do you brave the slicks through the rain and just hope that they grip enough to keep you where you are?
The thing is that he could use that as his mandatory stop, but it's going to be very close to the closing of that pit window as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. Granted, given that Psycho Kaiser stays clean and staying clean throughout this whole circuit, not getting any off-track penalties or anything, it's a real challenge in of itself, especially when the tires start wearing out at the very end of the race. Meanwhile, nothing between these two. Once again, between Isaac Armas and Ryoma Kirihara, it's just been nose and tail for about a handful of laps now.
Yeah, I love seeing two cars just stick together like this for so much of the race. This battle has just been blasting away for the entire race so far. And Isaac Umbra in that position, so has no intention of backing off now. You see the incredibly different lines coming through this section, pulling up onto the back straight. Always wondering how it's going to play out every time I see it. Yeah, again, just not quite close enough.
Ryoma Kirihara doing a bit of a weave of the dragon, as you say, from the Dragon Rider.
The Dragon Rider? I've not heard that one before.
I mean, I think he is a dragon. I think he rides dragons. Is what Ryoma Kirihara does. His VTuber sort of persona.
I see. Okay.
So everybody in this field is a VTuber. Everybody has their own personas and everything, their backstories. I'm not sure what Isaac Umbra's backstory is. I think it's just a really tired engineer.
Just sounds like a normal engineer to me then.
Yeah.
I also had a quick peek at the dashboard on Kirihara's Aston Martin there during the straight as well. I might have had it backwards in terms of the top speed advantage. That Aston Martin, without a tow, is doing 282 kilometers an hour on that straight. Unassisted, so that's possibly why we're not seeing that gap close so much.
So even with the tow, Isaac Armas can't even get anything done with that, because just Ryoma Kirihara, even if just the full face of air, the most drag that he can get, I mean, just has that top speed advantage, even with everything else.
This may well be the battle of downforce choices going on here. That Aston Martin might just have no wing angle on it to try and minimize the drag, which is why Isaac Umbras is of course all over it, all the way through all the corners. But then when we get to the back straight, well, advantage for Ryoma Kirihara, who on a low downforce setup is just going to sail away. I don't know this for sure, I'm just speculating what downforce setups his drivers have picked, but from what I can see, that's what it looks like.
You're gonna see here once again that Ryoma Kirihara pulls away just ever so slightly enough that Isaac Armas cannot get any move done on the next two corners here. Just must be really irritating, but he's got to keep pressing on. He's got to keep piling on the pressure.
Does. I think at this point Isaac Umbras knows that he's going to get a move done. It's not on this part of the track, it's going to be in one of the corners. So he needs to find a way to get the nose out from just underneath that Aston Martin rear bumper and get it alongside instead.
Looks like that weather forecast has been upgraded to a really heavy rain in 30 minutes. So, but is it going to be just in time for Psycho Kaiser's convenience, or is it going to be just too late and he's going to have to make an extra stop, like everybody else probably will have to, or if he's just gonna have to bear with it.
There's also a question of what fuel is Psycho Kaiser running right now, because it's possible he's committed to a pit stop at the half-hour point of the race. And I guess there's only really one way to find out, because for sure, if I were Psycho Kaiser right now, I'd want to keep my options open, and the only reason I'd pit early is if I was running low on fuel.
And it's not something you would have seen at the start of the race, because that forecast just shown up, so I mean, it's not really much hindsight to go back on. Not much of a, how can I say it, not much information to plan your whole race out, because it only goes as far as 30 minutes, and when he pits so early, like I think he pitted at like, in fact, no, he never pitted actually, he was always on the drive, so so he's gonna have to pretty much, I mean, let me get my thoughts down here. I mean, we're gonna have to hope that he's filled enough fuel at the start of the race.
Yeah, well, he certainly will, won't he? No doubt Lucas Licton is thinking the exact opposite, hoping that the rain coming up is going to throw a spanner in Psycho Kaiser's strategy plan.
That gap has been steady at about 42 seconds between second place and the current leader of Psycho Kaiser. We'll take a look at Psycho Kaiser right now, who is just comfortably in the lead at the moment, has been clocking in some pretty good laps here. Last lap was a 1 minute 56.357. Not sure why. Oh, never mind. That's because Lucas Licton instead of faster lap with a 1 minute 56.292. Psycho Kaiser definitely has the pace to get it done here, but he's just put himself in such an interesting position here for the whole race, for the next 30 minutes, that it's not going to come down to pace. It's going to come down to everything outside of his control, I feel like.
Yeah, this does feel like it's winding up for, if Psycho Kaiser does pit, we will not say it as much as scream it, with the difference that it's going to make in this race, and the sheer suspense that we're all feeling right now.
Lucas Licton's last lap, although it was invalid, it was a 1 minute 56 flat, so Lucas Licton's definitely trying to turn on the pace to diminish the gap as much as possible to give himself as much an opportunity to get back that lead. Meanwhile, that gap has shrunken yet again between Isaac Armas and Ryo Mikihata. This battle is just ongoing.
It really is. These students will not leave each other alone today, will they?
Oh, Ryo Mikihata makes a big mistake there, and Isaac Armas nearly gets in the rear of the Aston Martin, but it's just close enough that they do not make contact, and they can keep going on their merry way. But Isaac Armas, who probably could have been taking advantage of that incident, just had to take evasive action, and as a result, that gap is actually widened as a result of that mistake from Ryo Mikihata.
As you're right, this might be a reversal of the roles a little bit, of since Isaac Armas putting pressure on Kirihara this whole race so far, trying to force a mistake, and now Isaac Armas is the one who's made the mistake and given up some time to it. That gap all the way back to 1.3 seconds, that's the biggest we've seen it in at least 20 minutes now.
Psycho Kaiser is pitting right now. Psycho Kaiser is pitting. He relinquishes his lead, so we're going to see how that works out for him in the later stages of the race. Maybe he thinks he has enough pace to make up the gap. He's going to lose to Lucas Licton, because that was about a 43-second gap, and the pit delta overall is a way bit greater than that. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. If the rain comes sooner than we expect, it might play into his advantage still. I'm not sure, though.
Yeah, it's really hard to say. I think we're still about 22 minutes away from rain right now. So there's a lot of dry running left to do, which of course Psycho Kaiser is going to be doing on, what, 20-minute younger tires? What, about 10 laps here? That's going to be a big pace difference between Psycho Kaiser and Lucas Licton. But once these positions are reversed, is that going to be enough to try and swap those positions back?
Psycho Kaiser still sitting in the pits, fueling up, and now out of it, and exiting into pit lane. He might be behind Jordan Brunch, I believe. No, just ahead of Jordan Brunch. Actually, no, scratch that. Jordan Brunch is ahead of him coming out of the pit lane as he blends out into the racing circuit. So he is going to be 6th overall, and rounding out the field in the pro class. So he's got a bit of a gap to make up now to Lucas Licton.
He does, remembering as well that all of those pro drivers in front of Psycho Kaiser right now owe no pit stops. Everyone is not required to do another pit stop in the race. The only situation where they might do another pit stop is if the rain comes in early and the track gets too wet.
I think at the start of the race when Psycho Kaiser was on the dry tires, I think he lost a bit too much time trying to struggle, because we saw him lose. I saw him drop a couple, actually a handful of positions, and lose a lot of time going wide and just really struggling with the grip. That might have really just shot down his chances.
I think you're right, especially looking at the best times right now, as we see Psycho Kaiser getting past Jordan Brunch there, coming into the corner at the end of the back straight. Jordan Brunch coming back for another go up on the inside, takes the inside line, has the advantage going to the apex. Just a slight mistake, but nonetheless Jordan Brunch is keeping that position for now and covering the inside.
Ooh, Psycho Kaiza must be really frustrated right now. This is not even for class. This is not even for like any points or position. But he knows he needs to make up time. But I mean, Jordan's not gonna let. He's not gonna let a battle go anytime soon. I mean, he's known as the Scottish Minister of Defense, and he's going to prove it to everybody. Not even people that are not even in his class.
Well, there's another advantage in there as well. Although there's no points advantage to Jordan Brunch staying ahead, it's still track position, and that's another car between Jordan Brunch and Ivan Shensoi. So that's another car to use as a shield to try and retain that first place.
We'll see if Psycho has to make a move here. Seems to have a bit of the momentum and pace here. Flashing the lights, probably showing his frustration. Shows the nose to the inside, ducks in, and gets past pretty easily there. And we'll see if Jordan Brunch is able to get back at him. Doesn't look like it so far. Psycho has covers his tracks, is able to get away sort of cleanly. Yep, is able to get away cleanly into the 5th position overall, pretty stoutly. And now it's going to make a charge, a 9-second charge on Ace of the Nyanpire.
Yeah, I imagine this straight as well will be good for securing that position as well. That Aston Martin top speed playing into this. We were talking about something with Psycho Kaiser hit strategies earlier. I can't remember what we were talking about now. The port's been completely lost in that battle between Kaiser and Brunch. I guess it's just been that exciting.
Yeah. Meanwhile, at the rear of the field, in the AM class, I believe this is for 4th in the AM class. Yes, it is. It is between Ryuma Tatsuyama and iMetric Zanes. So iMetric Zanes trying to get past that Ferrari.
A difficult Ferrari to pass as well. Very similar machinery between these two. We see a slight mistake there from iMetric Zanes, and Aston Nyanpire using this opportunity to just slip past there as well. Aston Nyanpire are both lapping these two. There's enough position.
Another battle going on in the field is Solo Drocox and Faro Okami. Solo Drocox making a good recovery drive here after that drive-through penalty. Is gaining some time on the McLaren ahead. That huge V8 actually, Faro Okami, I don't know if that was to let her by or if that was just to break the toe, but I'm not sure Faro Okami could do anything against the raw sheer power of that Mustang, because just Solo Drocox just slips on by and is able to take the position uncontested.
Yeah, it kind of looked like trying to take a defensive line just in anticipation of the corner, but nonetheless, that top speed of that Mustang just is no match.
Unfortunately for Solo Drocox, she is quite a ways behind Sule Akihata, the leader in the AM class. That's about, I want to say, 37 seconds behind, so that drive-through really hurt her chances at just chipping away at that championship lead, and Sule Akihata might have a really good situation coming into the final round of Vtracc Challenge.
Yeah, in terms of Soleil's campaign, this has definitely not been ideal, definitely not gone to plan. Interesting as well, seeing almost all of the field bunched up in Sector 3 at the moment. It's an odd coincidence, isn't it? We go back to the chase right now for 2nd overall, 2nd in Pro as well. The recurring battle that we've all been watching up until this point, biting our nails over. Isaac Umbras hunting down Ryoma Kirihara. That gap is currently about 0.8, 0.9 seconds, so not enough to really get a good tow, but nonetheless, just there, just waiting for the right time to pounce.
Yeah, looks like Isaac Umbras is actually struggling a bit to get it as close as before, as I say that, under half a second now in this section, so there's definitely parts of the track where Isaac Umbras is stronger, but Kirihara has gotten a bit more consistent overall. I'm not sure. Actually, as I say that, they are just nose to tail again, but Kirihara has the upper hand here on the straightaway. Even with the toe, as they've said before, Kirihara has the better top speed here, and Umbras just can't do anything about it. It's just helpless.
See what I mean about these two looking like they're running high downforce and low downforce setups? because that was 4/10 that Isaac Umbras closed down in turns 1 and 2 alone. But nonetheless, just can't get a move done. It's that age-old problem, downforce. It can be helpful for making an overtake, but nowhere near as helpful as top speed is for making an overtake and defending a position.
You'll see the he goes wide and just
going wide.
And Isaac Umbras just slips on past us. Thank you very much. I will take that if you don't mind. Kirihara though, once again, is coming up on a part of the track that benefits his setup. Goes wide once again though. It might make for a better exit here. Maybe that's what he's trying to do. I'm not sure. He entered
Hard to say, but this might also be the first time that Isaac Umbras has driven these corners in clean air as well, feeling the kind of grip that car's actually got. But nonetheless, now's the time to try and secure that position. Sector 1, mostly advantage to the downforcey AMG, but it's just a question of if Isaac Umbras can take that advantage and use it to make this lead stick.
Ryomi Kirihara now with the rolled reverse, he doesn't peek out at all, he's gonna just wait behind, just bide his time. This is where Isaac Umbras can make up the gap here in Sector 1, but Ryomi Kirihara knows that he's got the better car at Sector 2, or I mean at the end of, on the whole straightaway, not Sector 2. Actually, yeah, this is Sector 2. Never mind. I'm an idiot, so...
yeah, you're right, yeah.
He does stay pretty close, though. Close enough that he can take advantage of the low downforce setup, or lower downforce setup that he has, especially in the toe. This is going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, definitely. Slightly compromised exit onto the straight as well for Isaac Umbras. Slight little bit of counter steer there as well. May just be 1 or 2 kph lost, but I feel like it's going to be critical. See this gap shrinking down.
Oh, it's shrinking. It's shrinking visibly. Kirihara's gonna look to the insider's contact! Oh my goodness! He was closing in a bit too fast! And just lost track of where Isaac Umbras was.
Big drift there as well for Isaac Umbras at the end of the straight, but just about keeps it on track and keeps it going in the right direction. I think that's the most trivial contact I've ever seen at 283 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, I'm surprised that
wasn't.
I'm surprised that wasn't worse than it was. It was just it was just a little tiny bump, enough to lift the rear wheels of Isaac Umbras' AMG up in the air, and then they just both went on their merry way.
That downforcey rear wing just helps to react to that accident, push the back wheels out of the air and back onto the ground nice and quick, especially at that kind of speed, I guess. I don't know.
Either way, this battle is going to restart once again. We'll see if Ryomi Kirihara is able to stick to the rear of Isaac Umbras' AMG here. Now the roles are reversed, like I said, so now it looks like Ryomi Kirihara is the hunter instead of the hunted. These two
we're not seeing a whole lot of... Go on, sorry.
Yeah, these two don't really have much to separate them, so I think this is going to be a race-long battle.
It really is, and I'm sure Kirihara's in that car thinking there's opportunities here to get this done. May not be too optimistic about catching Lucas Lichten, so just thinking about this battle as being the maximum race position that he can get. And, well, he's got 18 minutes to get a move done. Especially with a spell of rain coming in, what would that be, about 10 minutes now, I imagine?
Yeah,
maybe a little bit longer. Oh, not 10 minutes, look at the forecast, but... It's coming. We know it's coming.
I was about to say, you can see the cloud cover coming in. It's gotten a little bit cloudier.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That sunlight's not what it used to be. Those shadows on the track are not quite as vivid as they were before.
Psycho Kaiser with the best lap in the race so far. 1 minute 55.927, so a blistering lap from Psycho Kaiser.
Took a second and a half out of Acid and Empire there as well. On that lap.
Ooh, I'm not sure. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. There is rain coming really quickly here. Oh my goodness. I feel like Psycho Kaiser could have taken a lot more fuel at the start there, because this would have benefited him greatly.
Oh, no doubt. He's in that car kicking himself right now for not fueling for almost the entire race. But of course, any forecast more than half an hour away, we just don't know what's going to happen.
We're just having to think about what could have been. And you see a lap car, I believe that is iMetric saying go off and let these two by. But yeah, if Psycho Kaiser just had a bit more fuel to make it to this point of the race, he could have definitely kept in that lead. It definitely would have had Lucas Lichten having to really push
but I suppose it's not our job to dwell too much on what ifs right now, because right now the biggest what if on our minds is Ryoma Kirihara possibly taking back second place, currently biding his time, currently just staying consistently in Isaac Umbris' mirrors, just these two keeping each other company all the way through this race.
Looks like Isaac Umbris didn't have much of an advantage as he did before in the first sector. Now coming out into the second sector, Ryoma Kirihara is closer than before. Could take advantage here. Just needs to be careful not to run into the back of the 722 car again, because I'm not sure he's going to be as lucky the second time round.
Yeah, it's definitely the kind of gamble you don't want to be making a habit of taking. We see that gap is definitely closing. Top speed building up on that Aston Martin. 283, 284. I think that's the highest top speed we've seen so far. Gets up alongside towards the end of the straight. Brakes nice and brave for this corner at the end of the straight, and just gets the move done.
Great move from Ryoma Kirihara. They were side by side the whole way. Isaac Umbris, I think, flashed a little bit. Maybe it was a little bit, I don't know. They gave each other enough space though. It's fair racing. It's fair racing overall here between these two. But Isaac Umbris gets a little bit of that gap back, but isn't able to emerge ahead or even get alongside of the Aston Martin. So Ryoma Kirihara is going to be able to take advantage for the next few sections of the racing circuit. But Isaac Umbris, no, he is way better in the first sector.
So, what you were saying earlier, actually, about Isaac Umbris not seeming to be able to build the gap in Sector 1 on the previous lap, got me thinking again about the downforce difference that speculation that I'm still clinging to. I reckon high downforce setups wear the tyres quicker. So, if that's true, then that AMG on Isaac Umbris' tyres are going to be in worse condition than Ryoma Kirihara's tyres. These two both, of course, pit at fairly similar points quite early in the race when the first spell of rain stopped.
Ryoma Kirihara and Isaac Umbris have the lap car of, I believe that is Faro Okami ahead of them, so they're going to have to dispatch of them really quickly. Faro Okami goes to the left-hand side, lets them by, no problem there. Isaac Umbris is just right on the tail of that Dragon Rider's car, but he's gonna pull right away. He's going to pull away again on the backstretch here. Just the superior top speed of the Aston Martin, but at least Isaac Umbris does have a little bit of a toe, so you can keep at least him a little bit of check. You see Psycho Kaiser there in the background. Got caught up quite a bit to Ace of the Neon Pyre, so he might be able to at least, if these two make a mistake here, he might be able to get some more positions.
I feel like at this point, it seems unlikely that Psycho Kaiser isn't going to get more positions. We're going to see a few more overtakes out of that Aston Martin.
Oh, here's contact! Isaac Umbris gets to the back of Ryoma Kirihara. These two get together. They keep going on. They haven't lost any possessions yet, but Ace of the Neon Pyre is very close. And Ace of the Neon Pyre is having some great pace. So she might be able to enter herself into this battle. It might become a three-way battle. And if Psycho Kaiser catches up, it's going to be a four-way battle. This is going to be interesting, and look at the forecast. It's going to rain, and it's going to rain very hard.
It is. This is going to be dramatic for sure, so don't click away. Stay tuned as we see how this all unfolds. Fair play to Isaac Umbris and Ryoma Kirihara for retaining positions as they recover from that. But nonetheless, as you say, that's really put them in danger right now, into the clutches of Aces and Empire and Psycho Kaiser.
Psycho Kaiser, you saw there flash in the headlights, trying to let Faro Okami know that he is there and he is coming. Faro Okami was really courteous of these two up ahead, of these two battling, I mean, of Kirihara and Umbris, so it might be no problem for him to get around. Ryoma Kirihara, I believe, has actually got out of that situation the best. Is able to have a bit of a, actually goes really wide on the exit of that corner. Re-enters the track. Oh, what is going on here? Ryoma Kirihara is all over the place.
Almost looks like when you try to catch a slide with opposite lock and the car just overreacts and goes the other way. Kind of looks like that. Either way, huge speed loss there for Kirihara as that puts Isaac Umbris right back on his tail down the long straight. Pulled out of the slipstream, can't get a whole lot done here, just not building the overlap as clean air. That Aston is quicker, but nonetheless close enough. Are we gonna have a look up the inside for a little lunge? Not this time, but we are going to let Ryoma Kirihara know that we're thinking about it.
Isaac Armbruster definitely had a bit of a corner speed advantage over Kirihara, but just wasn't able to get anything done there. He was just not in a good position to get around that number 128. But look in the background, Ace and the Empire is here, able to feast on the blood of these two ahead.
Oh yeah, that shortcut smells blood alright right now, after seeing what's happened, not just that last incident, but the one before it as well. That means that spells opportunity to Ace and the Empire, and to Psycho Kaiser as well, who is that next car you can just see peeking in the background.
It's a four-way train for second place overall here, coming into the dying stages of the race. Only about 11 minutes to go, and it's a matter, if not if, but when this rain comes, and it's gonna come hard. It's gonna rain hard here. You're gonna see how these drivers handle it. If somebody's gonna try and brave it out, stay on the slicks, or if somebody's gonna dive into the pits, get into the wets, not risk it at all. I'm not sure what's gonna happen here. I'm really not sure what the best decision is.
I don't know when the right point to pit will be for wet tyres. I don't know if that is the right move at all. But I am willing to put my reputation on the line here. A while back I said I thought the rain was coming in 10 minutes, and seconds later the forecast ticked over to rain in 10 minutes. I'm going to try it again. 3.5 minutes, I reckon, we're going to have rain. What do you think, Ruby?
Oh, I don't know. Oh my goodness. You see, and I was looking at the forecast, 30 minutes. Thankfully, this race isn't going on for 30 more minutes, because you can see that icon. It's really hard rain. So these drivers probably have to thank their lucky stars that we're not going 30 minutes longer here. Oh my goodness.
Especially that we aren't having any red flags as well, during which time that rain could build up. We are just running 10 minutes until the checkered flag, in which the drivers finish their laps and the race ends. But nonetheless, it'll be interesting to see just how wet the track gets during that.
A good point by somebody in the chat that some of that Kirihara might have a bit of diffuser damage that might be really disadvantaging him here. He's not able to pull away as much maybe on the corners, as much even as before. So that might be why this train is maybe being held up a little bit. As you see, now Isaac Armbruster is now right onto the tail end of that Aston Martin, and Ace of the Empire is just nibbling on the rear end of Isaac Armbruster's own AMG. So it's and now you see Psycho Kaiser also joining in here. It's a party now.
It really is. We saw Ryoma Kirihara trying to go a little bit defensive there, approaching turn 1. Didn't need it in the end, but is no doubt going to need it soon, especially with not one car's worth of pressure, but at this point, 3 cars worth of pressure in those mirrors.
Somebody who is probably enjoying this a lot is Lucas Lichten, who we haven't talked about a lot today, but that's just because a lot else has been going on. But Lucas Lichten just sitting comfortably, really cruising up in the front. These guys, however, not so much.
I think worth noting as well is that currently Lucas Lichten is not the holder of the fastest lap of this race. It is still Psycho Kaiser with a lap time 2/10 quicker, a 55.897. In a short time, we will stop seeing that potentially improve. We may well have stopped seeing it improve already. But as that rain comes in closer and closer, we start seeing how this pace is going to start swapping back and forth between the cars. You see Psycho Kaiser going up alongside Aston Empire now.
He might be
back straight.
He might be able to get around Isaac Armbruster too. Oh, he was almost about to. I thought his pace, his straight line speed was so great. I thought he was gonna get around. It's raining. It's raining now. Oh my goodness! It's all coming down now. Who's gonna dive into the pits first? Who's gonna brave the rain on the slick tires? Ace of the Empire trying to look to the inside of that number 42 car, but Psycho Kaiser is able to stick into that 4th position overall. So now gets to work on Isaac Armbruster. No, actually, Ace of the Empire is back on the rear quarter panel of Psycho Kaiser, but Psycho Kaiser closes the door once again. It is raining now, and it is raining quite significantly. So, is it going to be enough to scare these drivers onto the wet tires, or will they be able to hold on?
Oh, Empire and Psycho Kaiser around. I don't know if that's contact or not.
Oh, we're going to have to see. I missed that while I was a little bit, while I was getting ahead of myself there. Ace of the Empire just gets really, really late on the brakes and just taps the rear quarter panel of Psycho Kaiser, sends both of them around. And Ace of the Empire, unfortunately, is going to have to just let Psycho Kaiser on by, and Psycho Kaiser is going to lose a lot of time, potentially, to these two, if these two don't make a mistake in the wet.
Having said that, we're already at the crossover point where wet tires start to be good. The track has become greasy already. You're right about how hard it was raining. It is raining very hard. You can see that the build-up on the windscreens. And I will admit I was wrong about when it would start, but only by 1 minute. On that note.
The thing is that I don't think you can actually go for wet tires right now. I don't think it's viable because you just lose a lot of time unless it just becomes like flooded, like the track just becomes an absolute lake. You just have to, I think you're just gonna have to bear with it. You're just gonna have to really just send it.
Brave on slicks, I completely agree. It's going to be difficult, it's going to be emotional, but it really is the only way to go now.
Isaac Armas might have the upper hand here because he does have the higher downforce. By the looks of it, from where we're sitting, he does have the higher downforce setup, so this might benefit him in the end here. Ryoma Kirihara, I think, gets out of that corner a lot slower than he did.
One of the things that is going to make a critical difference then is Isaac Armas' tyres are going to be running warmer. Extra downforce puts more compression into the tyres, which of course generates heat. We're seeing, as we're also seeing Aston Empire fighting with Psycho Kaiser right now. Yes. These two are very close together. We saw them just alongside very briefly there. But now Aston Empire's just settling in underneath that rear wing right now.
Oh, it is raining heavily now. This is going to be a show.
Yeah, see Asa braking very good there as well, pushing the limits of just how late that Lambo can brake. And really playing it brave, trying to find a way around Psycho Kaiser right now. I think that might have been a little bit of a bump draft there out of the final corner. Nonetheless, Psycho Kaiser retains the position and starts building up speed the way that Aston Martin does, we know very well by now.
Take a look back at Isaac Armas and Ryoma Kirihara. There's just too much going on right now. You could see the rain, you could see the raindrops if they're visible, and it's just, the track is damp now. These drivers are just going to have to deal with it. I think Ace of the Empire went around. Another check real, I think she did. We can't go back to the replay now because too many things are happening at the moment. Isaac Umbras and Ryoma Kirihara, these two are just pumping the conditions right now. They don't have any choice.
I did catch a glimpse of what happened to Aston Empire. She just ran a little bit wide for a corner, but recovered it pretty quickly. Back on track. Back to the battle between Umbris and Kirihara. See these two charging down this back straight. Very wet now. You can see the roof tail starting to really build up behind these cars now. You can still see each other. There's not enough to blind them just yet, but those tires will definitely be feeling it. They'll be becoming ice cold coming up into this very fast corner.
They're gonna be very careful here not to get the rear way too loose. Thankfully, both of them keep it in check. The track is damp. The track is getting super wet. Isaac Gumbas just goes very wide, probably locking up the brakes in the wet, just missing his marker. It's going to be a matter if Ryoma Kirihara is going to be doing the same as well, because these two are probably going to have to it's going to be a matter of who makes the least mistakes. Because everybody's going to make mistakes here.
It really is. In circumstances where it's going to be very easy to make mistakes, that's what it's all going to come down to, because this is only going to get more difficult from here.
So Vtracc, another drive-through penalty, unfortunately for her. That is her race pretty much done with. Ace in the Empire went wide once again at the yellow flag for her. She's getting caught up by Jordan Brunch, so unfortunately that Lamborghini isn't handling the rain very well on those slick tires. I don't think any car is, but the Lamborghini is probably getting the worst of it. Looks like, I want to say Ryoma Kirihara is doing really well in these wet conditions.
I completely agree. This has been going opposite to how I thought it would. I thought this would be advantage to Isaac Umbris, but it's really not played out that way so far.
It is just pelting rain out there. The track is now completely wet. You should be on wet tires, but just you cannot. If you wet pit now, you lose so much time.
That's the thing. The pace difference between the dries and wets right now, it's just not enough to close that gap. You will never recover that pit stop delta if you pit.
Look at everybody just going wide, just pirouetting along the track. The track is just treacherous.
Reach that point where I think we need to start cranking the Eurobeat. The amount of these cars are starting to drift now. We see Isaac Umbris back on the back straight right now, just trying to stay in that slipstream, but that might not necessarily be what he wants right now, as the gap's currently half a second. But really, how much grip do you want to be giving up in in this kind of situation? But of course, Isaac Umbris is going to have to try and get a move done.
Isaac Umbris goes really wide there. Just, I mean, both of them go wide. They're all going wide.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ryuma Tateyama now with a drive-through. Everybody is just havoc. Craziness is happening all around the racetrack.
I guarantee you, it's some of these corner exits where these cars are just overextending a little bit because the rain is coming down so hard right now that every time they do these corners, it's got less grip than the lap before, significantly so. There is no rhythm right now. There is no routine. These drivers have to adapt every single lap. We see Isaac Umbris peeking up the inside a little bit there, but not close enough to get a move done.
Isaac Umbris just holding on. Both Isaac Umbris and Ryuma Kumihara just hanging on to the rear ends of those cars. Just, yes, turn on the Euro because they are absolutely drifting around these corners. Isaac Umbris is caught up just under half a second to Ryuma Kirihara, but Kirihara has that upper hand of the straight line speed, but is it going to advantage him, especially in these super wet conditions on slick tires? Isaac Umbris definitely has the upper hand here with the high downforce setup. Ryuma Kirihara goes really wide into the braking zone of turn 1 and lets Isaac Umbris catch back up. And now this really technical section, it's going to be a case of who just is a lot braver with their grip. Isaac Umbris looking to the inside, peeking to the inside, just not close enough. Ryuma Kirihara just slides, just has no choice but to let this car just slip and slide to the outside of the corner here. And oh my goodness, but he's just closing the door at every opportunity he can get here, riding around this low speed. Just, oh my goodness, I'm losing my mind here. Everybody else like just slipping and sliding through these low speed corners, and then here where Ryuma Kirihara has the upper hand, has the advantage of the high speed, the power of that Aston Martin coming down to the straight. But once they get to that right-hander where we used to be really high speed, now it looks like Ryuma Kirihara is gonna probably come out the worst of it because he's gonna have to slow down the most.
It's definitely going to be difficult, but these drivers are now on their final lap. The clock has hit 0, and Lucas Lichten has not crossed the finish line yet.
Isaac,
in the lead lap.
Isaac Umbris goes wide.
Very wide there, breaking too late.
This might be the final lap of the race. So does Ryuma Kirihara. Kirihara goes really wide, but is able to keep it a little bit tighter than Isaac Umbris did that last time around. I think Lucas Lichten is going to cross the line here, and that's going to spell the end of his race. Another win for Lucas Lichten, a dominant season so far, a great result. But Isaac Umbris, this story has not yet ended here. There's still nose to tail here for second position overall and for pro. Isaac Umbris might have gone a bit too wide. He might have, both of them have overcooked it. And here comes Psycho Kaiser.
Kirihara taking a free. Kirihara, very defensive line there through the final corner, holding the position, approaching the start-finish line. That is Ryuma Kirihara in second place in the race, Isaac Umbris in third, Psycho Kaiser a close fourth. Almost chased him down.
Ace of the Neon Empire is going to have to settle for 5th position overall. Jordan Brunch is having a little bit of an off-track excursion there. Slows down a bit so that he doesn't get himself 50 million track cut penalties. But even if he does lose 5th position overall to Ace of the Empire, that is still another Superclass win for Brunch. Chensoi is just going to try and tiptoe around the track, and that's going to pretty much solidify him as the second place finisher for silver. So Zul Akihara coming across the final sectors now. Oh my goodness, you can see how much he's having to just tiptoe away around his track, just ever so carefully.
That are these drivers relieved that this is the last lap that they have to do on these slick tires in these kinds of conditions. This is not looking like a good time. Akihara already looking sliding through what looks like a fairly gentle cornering, but it's just not gentle enough. The tires still just want to slide out. Nonetheless, wrapping up the lap now and bringing it home in 8th.
8th and another AM class win for Zul Akihara. Imetric Zanes, I'm not sure if he's going to get 3rd place after all. Looks like Faro Okami will, actually. I'm not sure, the timing is being weird, but I think Faro Okami will be the last podium finisher in AM. But once again, another great result from Lukas Lichten. And another win for Jordan Brunch, as I said again. Oh my goodness, I think I'm just losing my mind now.
That was definitely eventful. It definitely got a bit disorienting at times, but yeah, thank you to all our racers for a fantastic race. Really impressed by what everyone's managed to do today.
Another great win for Lukas Lichten, and coming into the final round at I forget where we go. I always forget where we go.
Kyle Army.
So that'll be the South African V-Prix for the next round next Saturday, and that's going to be the championship decider. I believe that with that win, Lukas Lichten does clinch the pro championship, as does Jordan Brunch, I believe. I don't know. We're gonna have to see the point standings after today, and after the post race stewarding as well. You know, but what a great race that was.
So at this point, yes, Lukas Lichten has clinched that championship. That is a clean sweep of wins from round 1 to round 5, regardless of what happens in round 6. So that is Lukas Lichten is your pro champion. Jordan Brunch, same story again. That is a clean sweep of wins throughout the season and the silver championship secured. It's all Lucky Harry I'm not entirely sure about. There is one DNF with 0 points in round 2. I suppose we're just going to see how it all counts up at the end.
So with the AM title still up for grabs, even with I think Solar Dracc did finish second, I believe. Yes, so that still is up in the air. So, but without further ado, before we get ahead of ourselves, thank you so much for watching this broadcast today for the 5th round of the Vtracc challenge. It's brought to you by tracc.eu. Next Saturday is going to be I believe the final round of the Tracc GT3 Cup, and then after that Saturday is on that Sunday it's going to be, I think, V4H. No, not V4H. I'm losing myself. I need to go. I think now is a good time to end the stream. So yes, goodbye from me, Ruby Nakamata, and April Carlsbad. Bard. I'm losing myself.
There we go, nailed it. Alright, thank you everyone.